The 2022 Wolverine football season is upon us. Welcome to Under the Winged Helmet. I'm Kyle Simmons, and my co-host, none other than Michigan Wolverine and former Arizona Cardinal offensive lineman Thomas Guynes. And we have ASAP Elite podcast host and former Arena League wide receiver Rob Penn. Welcome to the show,
what's
guys.
going on?
Yeah.
Right.
What's up, boys? Glad to be here.
So, we're going to start it off like this. The defending Big Ten champion Michigan Wolverines. Sounds good. Sounds good.
That has a great ring to it. And I'm gonna say this. I want to get back to, late 80s, early 90s, where we had 5 Big Ten championships.
Yes, sir.
In succession. Let's get back to that level of domination. I'm liking where we're going. I'm loving the level of athlete, student athlete. Let's be clear about it, that we're bringing in right now. The expectations at the University of Michigan are always going to be high. There's always going to be a lot of people trying to push us off the mountain. I don't care, if we're at our lowest of lows. We are still Michigan. We still have the block in. We are still leaders in best, and people are always going to try to give us their best shot. So with that being said, I don't care what we're doing, how we're doing. We always have a target on our back, and we're going to have to continue to go out there Saturday in, Saturday out, day in, day out, as a lot of people don't really understand. This is a 24/7 job, 365 on the college level, as far as being able to prepare yourself to play one of the best conference, if not the best conference in these United States of America. So not only do you have to be a great student, you have to go out there and continue to compete against some of the best individuals that are actually on your team in order to get and keep that starting job, all under the auspice of going out there and representing the Michigan Wolverines, wearing that winged helmet and going out there on every Saturday to go out there and get that W for Big Blue.
Yeah. Hey, to back that up, it's funny you brought up that late 80s, early 90s run, man. That 5-year to 10-year stretch right there when we were dominant, and competitive around the country, that's coming again. And so it's going to be a 5-year process here, because we're also amongst the richest. If you want to consider NIL and using that as a recruiting tip, that's going to really make a difference here. And I see us really getting back to dominance in the road of glories. And I just see last year, like I said, Harbaugh went back to that 3 yards from the cloud of dust look, when everybody else was spreading it out. And at this time, defenses really don't practice against that too much. They always practice against that spread. Everybody throwing it around. So teams that are run heavy, you really don't get too much of that. And like you say, during that 12-round fight, next thing you know, we got Corum busting out a sideline. Everybody dog tired, and we're still revving.
And that's a huge thing too, especially with young Bell coming back this season after a super unfortunate season-ending injury. It's going to be really exciting to see what that young man brings. I know he's going to have a lot of enthusiasm. He's going to be chomping at the bit to get back out there in the field to reestablish his dominance as one of the, not only just the Big Ten, but one of the nation's top receivers. So to your point, we're going to go ahead and establish that run, pound these guys, get these guys tired, start getting, 8 guys up in the box, then let's spread them out and let's take the top off of it. Let's go vertical, let's go deep.
Ronnie Bell last year is a late first round, early second round pick.
All day. But you know what? No. But you know what? At this particular point in time, as long as health is no longer an issue, definitely can be an early first round pick.
There you go.
No doubt about that. So, well, I guess we've already went over our expectations for the season. I like the way that sounded. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, let's get after it.
Well, yeah. So let's just take a look at the schedule then. Like you said, let's get right to it. So right now, the Wolverines are facing 2 teams ranked in the AP top 25 with Michigan State and Ohio State. But there's Iowa and Penn State nipping right outside of the top 25. They actually got like 160 plus votes. So they're right there. So figure by the time we play them, probably be right. So Rob, are there any games that jump out you so far on this schedule?
Hey, one thing with 2 teams in that top 25, you really can't take that as much. Because last year I think we had 7 or 8 teams, in the top 25, and the top 10 was loaded with Michigan Wolverines. Right now, 2 teams, top 25, really holds no weight. Last year I think we had 7 or 8 teams in the top 25 all throughout the season. And can beat anybody in the country. Same thing this year. Teams are going to fall off. Next thing you know, the Big Ten is top and loaded. So you really can't give a prediction right now about that end game. We're going in Ohio State, should I say, and everybody overlooking every other game, because the games that we play our rivals, our closest rivals, are going to set us up to jump the Clemsons. You know what I'm saying? Jump the who should I say? We can jump past the Arizona State, Arizona State Sun Devils. We can jump past the teams that will be there that don't have that strength of schedule. The Cincinnati's, just to be for real, that's there because of the fact that they don't go through anybody. So yeah, I like that. I think we'll be okay.
So Thomas, what do you think of the
Go
schedule?
ahead. I mean, the schedule is a schedule. Mm-hmm. And I think oftentimes many people get caught up in, numbers. This team is number 1 and this team's number 25. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, if it was left up the paper, why go play the game? So when you start talking about the most important game is going to be coming up this upcoming Saturday against those Colorado State Rams. So we got to continue to bring our A game from day one. And what I'm looking for out of this 2022 Michigan Wolverine team is, can we press the gas consistently and have a level of sustainability that's going to give us the momentum needed once we get into the thick of things within the Big Ten, hopefully getting us another burst back into the national scene to go into the playoffs and to, definitely show our wares and get a little bit deeper in that playoff picture.
Right.
So we're going to jump to our Wolverine spotlight. So, Thomas, are there any players on this team that you got your eye on who you think might have a big year?
Now, it's funny that you should ask me that. Do you not see the big fella behind me? Ladies and gentlemen, that's what I represent. It's all about the fat kids up front. I'm looking at this offensive line as a whole, I should say. A lot of the different publications and people which I've been talking to as of late, everyone's saying that the strength of this Michigan team is going to be the offensive line, as it should be. So looking at number 76, Ryan Hayes, returning, started 2-time All Big Ten. This guy's got a lot of snaps, has a lot of seasoning on him. So I'm looking to see what type of leadership he brings to the table. All right. It's going to be one of our tackles right now. So he's going to be one of our bookends. That's going to be one of the key components in my estimation. The run game is going to be the run game. But when it's time for us to start airing it out, got to make sure that our quarterbacks are going to be kept clean. Secondly, number 55, and I always screw this young man's name up. So no disrespect to this young man. Olu. Yeah, help me out. Somebody help me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that name.
Yeah.
Him, that guy. Number 54. But he's a beast, though. And what's really funny for me, even as I'm articulating this presently, it takes me back to Tishmunga Biaka Batuka. Imagine when he first got here. I blocked for Tim, and nobody knew how to pronounce that kid's name. But based off the level of performance, it started to roll off the tongue. Right, to the point where they called him Touchdown Tim, right? So again, based off of this young man's performance, I'm definitely expecting for his last name to roll off the tongue a little bit more eloquently, as I just tried to get that out. But again, talking about this young man's pedigree, his resume, transfer from the University of Virginia, where he was a starter, All ACC, All American honors. So this guy comes in with a wealth of experience. Obviously, his talent level is there. The Michigan Wolverines are fortunate to bring this guy into the folds, bring him into the Wolverine den, if you will. So definitely looking for a high level of leadership from this young man, and especially playing center, because that's basically the center is, you got a quarterback that's 1A. The center is like quarterback 1B. If not the smartest guy on the field. Everybody wants to talk about the quarterback. No, you got to look at the center position. So definitely got high hopes for that young man. Zach Zinter, number 65, 6'6", 320. Been a 3-year starter, 2-time Big Ten honors. So again, another wealth of experience, plenty of snaps. Obviously highly regarded by his peers and coaches. So I got 3 guys right now that are going to set the tone. I'm looking to see who are going to be the other 2 offensive linemen we bring in to finish off that group. Hopefully, looking for a high level of cohesiveness and a synergistic bond between those 5 guys up front. Because again, as I've always said, not only when I played, but I still believe this to this day, wherever it was in which I played, as your offensive line goes, so goes your team.
Now, I just got to back up what you were saying, Thomas. The center, our quarterback, whether it's McNamara McCarthy, Blake Corum, or Donovan Edwards, we're built strong up the middle. And now with Ronnie Bell back, we're solid on the outside. So that means we got everything covered. So that means that we can adjust to fight styles. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing about it. So that spotlight, you touched on Ronnie Bell earlier. I want to touch on the kid Donovan Edwards, man. Hell of a running back, brother, that can catch the ball out the backfield. But he reminds me of a Chimanga Biakamatulga. That same type of running style. If you look at it. But like I say, his hands, that's where it's at. Because when he was in Bloomfield, he could have easily came out of high school as one of the top receivers in the country. You know what I'm saying? But you could tell in the spring game that he still had that explosiveness. He had more explosiveness. A little bit more mature. He was looking at reading holes a little bit better. And I think that he'll be dominant, man. I think that he might even make first team Big Ten, if not All American this year.
And I just want to just piggyback on that real quick. I think that's one of the key issues. Issues is not the right word. One of the key components and additions to this Michigan Wolverine team, Mike Hart. Having the opportunity. I know Mike for a long time, and having the opportunity to bring a guy like Mike in, and I think that was one of Mike's greatest attributes as a running back was his vision. Was Mike the fastest? No. Mike was a quick guy, was able to see the hole, get through hole. I think in years past, in recent years past, with some of our running backs, they did lack some vision. Where, definitely we could have had some bigger gains on some run plays. But in my opinion, we are getting better with that. But now, again, it goes back to the big kids up front. How do you have good vision as a running back? I move everybody the hell up out the way so you can just see everything and go get it.
Chris Evans wore glasses like this thick. You know what I'm saying? So, what you just said is real, man. It's real. It all starts up there, man. Like I said, I spoke with Zinter a little while ago, a couple of weeks ago, and he said the same thing. He said this has been the best offensive line that he's played with, and that's a big deal, especially with last year with them Road Graders and how they dominated the line of scrimmage last year. We got to see that again. But is Donovan Edwards built to replace the production of Haskins? Haskins came along. That career progressed. I have to say, from that sophomore to that senior, it was a progression that he was the bell cow last year. Not very good out the backfield catching the rock, but I see Thomas Edwards can be that same type of guy.
What's key for me, and I love the fact that you touched on the fact that able to catch the ball out the backfield. So now, not only am I a running threat, I'm also a receiving threat, which is also with having those capabilities. What does that do to your play action pass game right there, right? Definitely coming through, selling the run. Next thing you know, everybody's plugging up inside. We hit any of our talented wide receivers. Or with that being said, we're looking at the run play, whatever the case may be, and let this guy sneak out to some open space. And I think that's the biggest thing right now. What I'm really looking forward to is to look at the athleticism of our quote unquote skill guys, because we all know who the real skill guys are. But anywho, I digress. All that to be said, it's gonna be fun. Watching Michigan football in years past, for me, especially as a former player and a lot of, my teammates, it was stressful. You definitely, it was like, what were we going to get today? Last year was actually a pretty fun experience. It was entertaining. You still had the stress levels, but I think our confidence level was definitely a lot higher as far as our ability to believe that, we were going to pull this off. This was going to be a successful campaign. So that's one of the really cool things which I'm looking forward to this year, as far as just being able to enjoy watching Michigan football and not surviving watching Michigan football.
That's right. Hey, preach, brother. Preach. You just spoke for all these fans around the whole country.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. But when is
Oh,
it gonna happen?
so here's the one thing that I haven't heard you guys say anything about. You taptoed around it. The quarterback situation.
I was coming on that. Yeah, yeah.
So
You
let's
know,
get to it. You got to
he
say.
did say something about getting in open space. He said he called them skill players, but you also have to put McCarthy in as a skill player, as a runner. You know what I'm saying? Big time, because like we spoke about that before, you and I. One thing about McCarthy and him being predictable is that every time he got in the game, he ran a read option, you know, and he kept it. And then he kind of got punished in that Georgia game. They knew it was coming. And you know, you had linemen just as fast as him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Didn't switch it up or anything. Yeah, they have to do a better job at that, keeping them honest and keeping them balanced.
Creativity is going to be key for us right now. And again, I can't do nothing but echo what was just so eloquently articulated just then, is the fact that with JJ, in my opinion, you still got to remember this kid's got an ego. And this kid came here to play quarterback at the University of Michigan. So don't just use me as an extra running back. Give me the opportunity to lead the team. Let me be the field general. Let me sling that ball around. Hey, I got an arm. You brought me here for a reason. If you wanted me to play running back, honestly, either make me a running back or go get another running back that you wanted. But at this particular point in time, I'm a quarterback who can run. I'm not a runner who can play quarterback. Let's be clear. Now, when we start talking about McNamara, I like that individual as well. Mac does a good job of managing games. Is he the guy in which I completely want to hang my season on? The jury's still out on that. But with that being said, still a very capable, very experienced quarterback, and he's well respected within the team. So even where what my perceptions may be as a lack of skill set, maybe, but those other three intangibles are huge, right? And so if he's got those other three intangibles, he has the rest of the team believing in him and getting that coaching staff to believe in his skill set and what he brings to the table. I think he's going to be successful. What I did hear was, and it's going to be real interesting to see how things play out, is that McCartney's supposed to be starting the first game of the season with McCartney coming back the second game.
Yeah, starting week 2.
So it's
Yes.
going to be right in week 2. So what's going to be interesting to see is based off of how each individual quarterback plays. Let's say it's neck and neck. What's going to be the determining factor going into week 3? Who's going to be my starting quarterback? Because again, as a guy that's used to protecting quarterbacks, I like having that one guy. Like, this is the guy who we got now. I'm cool with having the other guy there, but that's because my number one guy went down. There's something to be said about the cohesiveness and the interaction in which you have with your quarterback, right? It's not like playing defense where you're just, ring around the rosy, just mismatching guys, just plugging them in wherever you see fit. With this, distraction, right? Because that's always going to be something in which, hell, we're talking about it right now, okay? So from the media aspect, and it wasn't like when I played, you got Twitter, you got TikToks and Grams and Facebooks and all of these different platforms in which people are able to get on their own their own stance, if you will, and start to pontificate how they feel about this situation. And trust and believe, oh, well, we're just to block all that stuff out. Easier said than done. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we are dealing with adult men, but these guys are still young men. Hell, even professionals don't do a really good job at blocking out that white noise.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to ask you. Like, to start one quarterback week 1 and then to start the other quarterback week 2. I mean, I understand it's early in the season, but how does that go in the locker room? And you kind of touched on it right there. Like you said, you want to have one guy and you know that that's your guy. It's cool to have
Right,
the other guy, but you want to know who the guy is. So I'm just wondering,
right.
how is that going to play out through the season? Because it seems that they both deserve to play, but I don't know how long you can continue on with both of them playing. I don't know.
I mean, it's a great dilemma to have,
Right.
but at the same point in time, too, like I said, I don't want to mess with the mental aspect of my quarterback. I want my quarterback, whoever my number one quarterback is going to be locked in. Now, if you want to go and say, well, let's get Cade this year. He's the older guy, and JJ, you got another year after that. But as you see, this is not like it was back when I played, where there's that overall long-lasting team loyalty, where guys are with the portal and everything else, where guys are like, hey, I got to go get my money.
Mhm.
So if I have an opportunity to go out here and get my shine on somewhere else, still at a high level of competition, then why wouldn't I not take my talents to someplace else where I know I have a better shot at being a starter to go out there and show my wares? Because let's talk about brass tacks. The game of college football right now is a business. It is a business in a sense with the NIL, and it's a business in a sense for these young men to change the generational financial trajectory of their families, right? For those that are lucky enough to get to the next level. So
Mhm.
does it make sense for these kids to stick around and ride the bench 2-3 years, hoping to have a breakout junior or senior year to hopefully get a shot to go to the next level?
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see, and I think those are going to be some of the key components that we're going to have to monitor to see how that plays out. Because again, you touched on it. That definitely can have an effect in your locker room, because you're going to have some guys that are going to be, Team Cade. You're going to have some guys are going to be Team JJ.
Right.
And that's when those little bitty cancer cells start growing, and then now all of a sudden, it's metastasized throughout the body of the team, and now you're dealing with something else that you never thought you were going to have to deal with at the beginning of the season.
And to piggyback that, one thing about what you were saying about this generation, a lot of them aren't coming to Michigan and talking about that exquisite degree. JJ McCarthy, he's coming there to play football in the NFL. Don't turn this kid into Tate Forcier 2.0, Shea Patterson 2.0. Let that kid play.
Right.
Take it. Hey, he's a risk taker. He's a gambler for sure. But in order to make that jump and really compete against those top 4 teams, once we get there again, he's gonna have to be the guy.
Oh, definitely. You got to have a level of swagger about yourself, and especially once we get out of the 10 and start looking at it on a more national level. You have to. I want a quarterback that's going to be able to do those things. That when I'm in the huddle and it's getting tight, and as we used to say, it's nut cutting time. When I look in that quarterback's eyes, he's like, "Let's go, boys! I got you." Right?
Not only that, the
it,
dual threat
go ahead.
opens up that playbook.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. If I got and the biggest thing with JJ that I'm concerned about seeing is when you talk about his risk taking, don't lose me the game by trying to do too much. Show me a mastery of the offense, and then let your skill set, your athleticism come to the forefront. But don't let your ego or your hubris, if you will, get in the way of you making the smart play. Because there's something to be said about for show money instead of Samo money.
So here we are, fellas. No more talk, no more anticipation, no more hype videos, all of that. It's week 1. Colorado State's coming here to the big house. They finished 3-9 last year. I think 2-6 in the Mountain West. So,
right.
How are you expecting this game to go, guys? We'll start with Rob.
All right. I need a dog fight. I need a dog fight till the middle of the 4th quarter. Because I need to see what we just said, how this plays out. Last year, we didn't get to see this kid play any games. We didn't get a chance to see if he's a big risk taker, if he's going to throw that ball away, if he's going to protect, if he's going to rise to the occasion. We never seen him under pressure. We need to see him in a dogfight. We need to see him control the game, control the team in that huddle, like you just said, get out of trouble situations early, keep his composure, and then once Harbaugh's ready to open up and spread that bad boy around, he does that too. Ball control. Let's keep the ball on the ground. Keep tumbling. Keep rumbling. Keep 3 yards in the cloud of dust. Middle of the 4th quarter. Well, beginning of the 4th quarter, and then open it up. Let's see if the kid can really, close that game out on the big stage.
Well, give me a score now. Give me a score. Come on.
41-30. 23. Michigan Wolverines. Go blue.
All right, Thomas.
I'm gonna go 42-14. What the big thing which I'm looking for right now is our offensive line ability to let's go out here and bully these guys. Yeah. I want to see these big boys up front go out there and be bullies for four quarters, pressing the gas continuously. I want to see there to be a noticeable drop off in the amount of want to by the Rams to engage with the 5 Wolverines up front, 6 including the tight end. And that was one of the big things last year talking about our tight end play. Our tight ends, in my opinion, are slow wide receivers, still very athletic. The one thing I want to see is their improvement within their run blocking game. Getting your head in there, proper positioning, and finishing blocks, So that's what I'm expecting to see. I don't expect to see a lot of intricacy within our play calling on either side of the ball, it being the first game of the season, unless for some odd reason it does get a little tight. We may have to go a little bit deeper in the playbook than what we want to, but hopefully that will not be the case in point. We can keep it real vanilla and not give other teams a whole bunch to look at. But at the same point in time, like Rob alluded to, let's get those quality game reps and see what both these guys are going to bring to the table. I am expecting to see both Cade and JJ get some meaningful clock in there. But like I said before, this should be an opportunity for the big fellows on both sides of the ball. The defensive line, that front 7 too. Let's come out here and get some work. Let's get after it, because that's going to be another key component too. If we're talking about repeating, is everybody's going to look back and say, well, there's no more Aiden. There's no more, his name escapes me right now. 56, I believe his number was. The other Russian we had.
That's not Graham, is it?
Ojabo. Yes. We don't have an Ojabo. So who are going to be, these two stalwart defensive linemen that's going to step up for us this year, that's going to create havoc in the backfield. So that's going to be real key for me to see coming up this Saturday. Again, you've been practicing, you've been doing this, everybody's been patting you on the back, but at the end of the season, ladies and gentlemen, you got to remember this. You ended your season on a loss on the biggest stage. Mm-hmm. What does that mean to you? What have you done to rectify it? How will you come out and show the country that even though we did take an L against those Georgia Bulldogs, the Wolverines are still in the fight. We're ready to come out here and get this work, and we're ready to come out here and show you guys we are still going to be a prominent piece of the conversation on that national scene.
Hey, now real quick, I am a Harbaugh disciple. One thing he reminds me of Angelo Dundee. His styles make fights, and he does not deviate from the game plan too early. You know what I'm saying? I've seen he sticks to his game plan. I love that about him. Sometimes, to his to the liability of everybody else, but I think he'll do good this season. We don't know what we're gonna get with Guynes leaving though. We have a new offense coordinator.
Right.
Yeah, let's see what type of system we run. That Josh Guynes offense was getting pretty prolific. You know what I'm saying? He can do whatever he wanted to in it. So they were able to go from one style of offense to another style of offense the next season and be just as efficient. So let's see what we get to.
It's all about trust. Coaches are expected to trust us to go out as players to go implement the game plan. What I need for Jimmy to do is to have enough trust in his assistant coaches to go out there and implement the game plan. And whatever that may be, if I'm seeing that whatever worked this week, but based off a film study, if what we did last week is not going to be conducive to our upcoming opponent, as you said, style makes games, style makes fights. Let me switch up the style, because at the end of the day, nobody's really going to come down on me as the assistant coach. It's going to be the kids. And let's continue to put our kids in the most advantageous position possible to go out there and be successful.
Anybody southpaw. For sure.
Yeah, so for me, this is my favorite time of the year. Start of the Michigan football season. I'm an Ann Arbor resident. I love to just go out on the golf course, have a good time in the morning, walk across the street and watch a good old game. And it's a great experience for me being there as a fan. So I can only imagine like what it's like to be a player running out that tunnel. So I gotta ask you, Thomas, you have any memories, anything you could share with us about opening day, season opener?
Before you go, Thomas, because if I feel this way watching it on TV,
Right.
go ahead. Ooh.
I mean, I would say this, and it's a little anticlimactic. As a freshman, redshirt freshman coming in, still, I probably had just turned 18, because I'm a September baby. It was definitely all of that, 100+ thousand people being around the boys. You got your whole team being in that locker room, that level of excitement, like, as a young high school kid, being able to, or being blessed to play D1 football at the University of Michigan. It was huge for me. And, I told the story several times, but it's still funny to me. I believe that first game was against Oklahoma State. We're coming out, and as we're walking out the locker room, we're hitting the sign up top, those who stay, and we're running out and coming down to the tunnel in the M Club. We got the banner, and anybody that knows me knows that Thomas Guynes has never been a great leaper. I was a wrestler in high school. I think the last time I played organized basketball, I was like in the 4th grade. So on this particular day, I like to say I have a wallet vertical, like literally a bifold wallet. That's as high as I get up. On this particular day, the football gods was like, yeah, we're going to give you a little extra boost. But nobody told me that banner was drawn as tautly as it was. Fellas, when I tell you I got half my arm up there and you had 312 pounds running full speed, and it was like, and the rest of me kept going forward, and I'm in the middle of the pack right now. I'm just like, don't be the guy that causes big pile up as we're coming out for the first game of the season. That's not a good look. That's not what you want to be remembered as. But the good Lord above, in his infinite wisdom and mercy, saw fit for me to pull it together. I was catching a cramp in my low back and everything because I had so much momentum going forward, and I'm fighting everything in my posterior chain to bring my body back up with my lower body. I saved it. I saved myself from that level of calamity. But as the years progressed, and I was a 3.5-year starter, really it that kind of just became a formality. That's what we did. Was focused on the job at hand, because as a starter, I started all 4 positions on the offensive line, but center. You feel a level of pressure because, again, like I said, working with those 5 guys, you don't want to be the weak link in the chain. You don't want to be that guy that I remember us playing Virginia in the Pigskin Classic, and it was like 8 million degrees out there, and we were behind. We had Scotty Dreisbach as our quarterback, and I'm playing right tackle at the time. And I can't think of the guy's name, but he was like 6'8", played for the Raiders for several years. Him and I ended up being teammates over in NFL Europe. But we were battling all day, and we're in the 2-minute drill. And like I said before, I can see now, okay, this is all we're doing is throwing the rock, because we had to get 6 to win the game. And coming through, and I go back and watch that film sometimes, it was like a couple of times I got lucky. And other times I was like, yeah, that was great pass protection right there. And luckily for us, Scotty drives through that pass. Merck caught that in the northeast end zone and got that 1 foot down, and we won the game. So, I've been on that side of it, and I've been on the other side, the Colorado game, with the catch in South End zone. Yeah. So it's, all that to be said, there's a plethora of emotions that you run through. And especially it's what's funny for me was to experience, then to come back as a former player and watch the maturation process emotionally when it came out to taking the field.
Hey, just to back you up, that Colorado game hurt me more than the Appalachian game.
Man, heartbreaker.
That game right there, for me, yeah, because of the fact I was a starter. I was a starting right guard in that game. The App State game didn't really hurt me. And the reason why I say this, App State had a team that if they would have had the grades or whatever their issues were, all of those guys were D1 were like, top D1 athletes. So
I'm
App
sorry,
State,
I'm sorry, bro. We had like 7 first rounders, that possible first rounders that year at the big house. I can't. Hey, no.
No, the
Don't do it
Colorado
to
was the
me.
bigger
Don't do it to me.
heartbreaker. I remember watching that game. I might have been like 12,
yeah,
watching that game on the TV, and just like that sinking
stop making me
feeling.
feel
That was.
old, Kyle.
Yeah. Hey, I start having flashbacks, bro.
Yeah. Well, and what was crazy about that is that was that game right there for that season that hung over us all year. We won some games. We did our thing, and we went 8-4, I believe. But that game definitely that messed with the whole mojo of the team that year, and that was a funk that we couldn't shake.
The Westbrook, Rashawn Salam, Cordell Stewart, they had a squad, boy.
Yeah, they had some bodies there, but like I said, there was no reason why we should have lost that game. I'm not going to put blame on anyone, but I've always said this: defense prevents you from winning.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, what do you play? What do you play? I'm sorry, I know we got to get out of here. But what do you play on the last couple seconds of the game? What was it? 60 yards up? 70 yards up?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my thing is this: when you got a quarterback, and that's when you got to go back and understand the capabilities of that quarterback. Did we know that Cordell could throw the ball that far?
No, not yet. Yeah, we know now.
So, like I said, I'm not putting blame on anyone. It's just my personal perception. Is that at any point in time I could put pressure on you and make you uncomfortable, and that part of the game in those last few seconds, the more advantageous it is for us as a team.
And come to find out, we didn't know we can kick either. All right,
Yeah, let it go.
Right. Oh man, well there you have it, guys. That is our debut episode of Under the Wing Helmet. I think it was a great show. Let us know what you think, man. You can follow us on our Instagram, Facebook, all the socials, things like that. We'll be back next week where we recap the game from week 1 and start talking about week 2. For Thomas Guynes, Rob Penn, and Kyle Simmons. Thanks for watching.
Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Blue.